Hello, and thank you so much for giving me a little of your time. I'm going to be as succinct, clear, concise, and courteous as possible. I'm certainly not going to use any explicatives, although one is sorely tempted at times with everything that we are being bombarded with, and it really is psychological warfare, it's physical warfare, it's economic warfare, and it's our own governments turning against us. So first up on my ranting revolutionary list is climate change. Climate change has been proved by over 1,600 perfectly valid, well-known, well-respected and awarded and lauded scientists to be a load of codswallop. And poppycock about bovine flatulence is about as relevant as the price of fish. Okay? It's utter rubbish. We do have a pollution problem, but it's not the CO2 in the atmosphere. Furthermore, all the experts on the WEF, WHO, and other nefarious organizations seem to forget is that all the planets in our solar system are undergoing climate change as well. The North Pole on Saturn is definitely behaving in an anomalous fashion, and there's the red spot that's shrinking on Pluto, and there's a whole load of other things going on, but we seem to forget that we are actually traveling through the galaxy at very high speed away from the center of the galaxy, and that there will be changes in the electromagnetic field, and there will be climate change. However, it's never been cooler for a very long time, and this idea that we are burning is definitely untrue. As for sacrificing humanity in order to reduce CO2 emissions, and no one being able to drive, no one being able to do anything, and everybody living in a gulag, eating insects and lab-grown meat, it's a total scam. A, we're not going to eat insects. B, we're not going to live in a gulag. C, Italy, thank goodness, has banned not only the manufacture but the sale of lab-grown meat. So, bravo Italia, gracias infinite, you are definitely showing us the way. Now, as for energy alternatives, we can throw out solar, it simply is not going to work to scale. You can throw out the wind farms, it's the biggest joke and yet another scam. So what's left? Well, what is left is what was discovered by Nikola Tesla back in the day, before the First World War, in fact, around about 1895. He discovered zero-point energy. Zero-point energy does not pollute. Zero-point energy is completely free and limitless, absolutely limitless. What Nikola Tesla did was not only did he discover this energy source, but he also invented the machines that can actually capture it and then transmit it. And you don't have to have wires to transmit zero-point energy safely. In fact, the only side effect you will have from zero-point energy is a disturbance around the electromagnetic field of your transmitters and receivers, whereby birds will not go too near because it gets their navigational systems off balance, because birds navigate on an electromagnetic field basis, as do sharks, by the way. And sharks have been around a very long time, as birds have. So, the other byproduct of zero-point energy is the fact that it creates anti-gravity. Now, we haven't got the software to navigate with anti-gravity, and as people have a lot of trouble driving motorcycles and cars and scooters without having accidents, the last thing we need is people flying through the air without appropriate software to avoid nasty accidents. But we can start running cars, generators, running everybody's house on 0 point energy, no more electricity or gas bills. You can cook with it safely, you can do everything with it safely. Now, I must admit, I do enjoy cooking with gas rather than electric, but that can be dealt with. There is, in fact, a patent which is free to use with a free working model, and the owner of the patent is the US Navy. The author of the patent is a well-known, well-respected aeronautical engineer called Salvador Cesar Pais. The patent dates from 2018 or 2019. You can use any search engine, look it up, and help yourself and get started. Now, rather than have lots of people go off willy-nilly and start having accidents, it would be a good idea if we all coordinated, and that's one of the reasons why I'm doing my little broadcast and bringing my little contribution to the edifice, is because I don't want us all winning the war but paying a ridiculously high price. We're going to win this war against these so-called elites who are actually parasites, and we're going to do it in such a way that there's not going to be a lot of damage. So let's all start talking to each other. The patent is free to use. Local councils should get into this immediately. They can reduce all their spending dramatically. They're not going to have the same with the NHS. I mean, the heating bills are just going to go down to zero, and then the other consumption will as well. So that we don't need a government to say you can do it, because it's free and it's there. All we have to do is put it into place in a logical, pro-survival manner without shooting ourselves in the foot. And yes, in the wrong hands, this can be very dangerous technology, which is why we should all be talking to each other, and which is why we don't need people who don't know how to deal with pandemics dealing with this subject matter. The other thing is there is so much occulted information, it's unbelievable. So if you're wondering why things aren't working, it's basically because it's done on purpose. If you're wondering why we're having trouble with talking about UFOs, UAPs, flying saucers, extraterrestrial beings, it's because E.T. is not stopping off at the local petrol station to come here. He's already using 0-point energy, and yes, we have recovered the craft and the bodies, and it's a lot more than the dozen the Americans are confessing to. It's at least 80 just for the USA and Canada, and obviously what they help themselves to in Mexico as well. And the most intelligent comment I actually heard on the subject was made historically when one general was informed about what is happening, and he was somewhat shocked, and he thought for a little minute, and then he came back with, well, that's one hell of a supply line. And he hit the nail bang on the head. It is one hell of a supply line. Now, there's no point in us whizzing off into outer space, because we've got to actually get our own house in order. Ever since the Second World War, we have detonated over 2,000 thermonuclear devices on this planet, which is completely unnecessary and even goes beyond extravagant, as Oscar Wilde might say. It's completely out of order, and it is one of the contributing factors to tsunamis and earthquakes, because if you hit anything long enough, you're definitely going to get a reaction. And you also have to realize, once again, something's been occulted, is that the Earth is in fact a living organism, and it acts as one huge magnet as well, and these devices do play around with our electromagnetic field. So we do have to go back to the drawing board and decide who we are, where we want to go, and whom we want to be. Well, we definitely don't want to be starving, and I think we should be supporting farmers all over the world. The protest movement isn't just in France or Brussels, it's now in Germany. Holland obviously was one of the major catalysts, and we should definitely be supporting our farmers, and we should all be talking to each other, and we should all be sending them messages of support, and we should be spreading this as far and wide as we can. We don't want to be eating insects, we don't want to be living in gulag, and lab-grown meat is out of the question. So let's support our farmers, and let's also talk to each other and really do something. It doesn't matter if it's just giving out leaflets, it doesn't matter if you only have a few hours a week. Anything is better than just sitting at home, ranting and raving, and hitting the like button on lots of podcasts. It's a good start, and obviously sharing those podcasts is a good start. But we actually do have to go to the councils and to our members of parliament and say, we're taking control. We are sovereign. We, the people, are sovereign. We are not your slaves. We're not going to be treated as slaves. And we are going to tell you how to spend our tax money, thank you. We're not going to, for instance, go in for any more of these useless proxy wars, the state of permanent war. I mean, it's straight out of Orwell. I mean, it's unbelievable. Just like the media at the moment, mainstream media, I don't think. I mean, we talk about Washington being the swamp, but my God, mainstream media has to run a fast second. Who watches this? Who buys a newspaper? Who goes online to read a mainstream publication? I mean, really? Really? It's all over. And we have to take control to limit the damage, because no transition of this scale is going to come about peacefully unless we take charge. And in my description, I'm going to link lots of information. One is Peacekeepers, which will inform you of your constitutional rights, and you must not be discouraged from encouraging public debate, going to council meetings, posing questions, and insisting on answers. And yes, of course, you can give them time to turn around and answer, but when they come back with a load of waffle, well, this is waffle, we're not having it. There are other links as well to other broadcasters I really admire and have pushed me to also bring my little 2 cents worth. I really do think we just, when it comes to the energy question, we're not going to sacrifice humanity, and the solution is there right under our nose. The patent is free to use. We should just stop procrastinating and just get on with it. I know there are a lot of people who want full disclosure on ET, full disclosure on the energy side. Never mind, they can disclose later, right? Our priority is not just surviving, our priority is flourishing and prospering, our priority is taking back control, our priority is clean government, and government by the people, for the people, and through the people. And as for the media, I would remind them of Voltaire, that said very clearly, I may not agree with what you say, but I will defend with my life your right to say it. And as for education, Plato quite rightly said, there is no education without education of the heart, and this is validated by Emerson and Steiner. And so we're going to really have to, start getting down to brass tacks and reforming, taking control and reforming. And that's my little contribution for today. I will put Peacekeepers in the link. I'll also put Richard Vobes, who is a great source of inspiration. Jeff Taylor, who's very succinct and very good. And I would like to say, well done, Eva, the charming Flemish beauty who is encouraging the farmers in Holland and France and Belgium And I would like to say well done, farmers. We're right behind you. No farmers equals no food, so you're definitely a priority, and we are going to support you. Thank you very much. Good night.